So Mufasa got out. He ran off the porch and disappeared into the night. So I thought this would be a perfect time to talk about how to find a pet when they're lost. You know, first thing you should do is obviously wait a bit, you know, spend some time outside trying to find them. So I've been doing that for like the last hour and a half, and at some point you just have to be like, all right, hopefully he'll come back or somebody else will find him. So it is 10:45, no, 10:47. Let's see how long it takes me to find him. I'm currently walking around my neighborhood hanging up flyers. I've called all the adoption places and pounds and shelters in my area. Thankfully, Mufasa is microchipped, so if anyone does take him to the pound, they'll call me right away. Always glad that I've done that. But yeah, I'm at the point where I'm almost out of options, done everything I can on my end. So after probably 24 hours, I think it was, I finally found Mufasa. I was actually trying to find my husband to tell him that I was going to bed, and I thought for some reason that he had gone out on the porch, and so I went out front to say goodnight to him, and I walked out, and Mufasa was standing on the front porch, and he was like, you know, like that cat, like the Halloween cats where he was all arched and he was all poofy and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, like the sense of relief that I had was just immense. And so I didn't want to scare him off because that's the whole reason why we lost him in the first place. So I just sat down, and I knew that he wanted to come home, obviously, because he was there, and I'm sure he was hungry because it had been like 24 hours since he had been there. And I sat down on the ground, and he hopped down, and he was very scared, but he like slowly walked over to me, and it was the sweetest thing. He like crawled into my lap, and he put his arms like over my shoulder and just like rubbed his head up against my face. And I was like, oh my God, I want to murder you. Not really. But it was just a really rough experience, but I'm so glad that I filmed it because I wanted to teach you guys some of the things I do to find my pets as an animal communicator when they are lost, and I lose them way too often. One of the things that you can do is you can send out searcher angels, and so you sort of connect with the fact that, okay, I have angels or spirit guides that are out there that are specifically there to help me find things. So think about finding your lost car keys, finding you a good parking spot. And so I sort of connect to them, I feel for them, and I say, hey, please help me find my cat. And I just send that energy, I send that energy of love, and please help me towards them. And then I sort of visualize them running all the directions away from me to go help find Mufasa. And you know, even if they're not doing that, the visualization at least helps calm me down. Besides talking to your animal when they're gone, even I struggle with this. I'm an animal communicator. I talk to everyone else's animals when they disappear. It's really hard when your own bias is in the way. So if there's any way you can pull tarot cards, talk to somebody else, or, I mean, I'm not discouraging the fact that you should try to connect with your pets, but do it in a very non-emotional way. You really have to set aside your biases of where they could or couldn't be. You've got to set aside all of your emotions, angry, sad, whatever. You really have to be clean and clear to be able to receive that psychic information and know that it's not like tainted, if that makes sense. So those are sort of the communication things that you can do. Obviously, I think that putting the intention into I'm going to find them with putting up flyers, putting up notices on like the Nextdoor app, just like letting people know and actively taking the time to go out and seek them and call their name. I feel like that sets the intention that I'm going to find them and I'm not giving up. And I think the biggest thing is you just can't feel like you're going to give up. Obviously, there's a point in time where you need to be doing this, or else you could be holding on to this forever. And I think probably an hour or two before I found Mufasa, I just hit that give up point. And I was just crying and I was so upset, and I went to my husband and I was like, we're never gonna find him. And I think that's totally an appropriate response. You can have it. Just know that if you're trying to connect to them, trying to find them, putting aside those emotions are going to help you best receive that psychic, those intuitive hits. One of the things that I really think helped Mufasa come back was the wind chime that I had in our backyard. And so, you know, I think animals, you got to give them credit. They do know their way back home. They know how they left. They have their senses of sight and smell. And I truly think that if they want to come back, they will. There's a difference between, you know, if somebody else picked them up and they can't come back, or they legitimately got lost. Like one time our dog got out and we were out in the woods and I could feel like his energy was like, I completely don't know where I am. And he's kind of dumb like that, so it makes sense. But I think that the chime helped because we have a Japanese chime on our porch and you can hear it from inside. And when the wind blows, it makes this really pretty sound. And so I just had a feeling whenever I was connecting to Mufasa that he could hear that noise. And so it was a very good indicator of, oh, I know that noise, that's home. And so it's kind of like a beacon of how to find your way back home. So my recommendation is if you find your animal, everything's great, go out and get some sort of chime or something that's unique so that your animals can get used to the noise, and then if they ever do get out again, it's really easy for them to find their way back home, obviously if they're within range of hearing it. I think the biggest thing, you know, when you do find your pet at the end of this is to stop and just ask, okay, what's the message here? You know, this didn't happen coincidentally, it happened for a reason. And I truly think that sometimes it happens because our pets are grumpy. And I 100% believe this is what happened with Mufasa. Like the week leading up to him leaving, he was constantly trying to escape. He was so grumpy. He was so angry at our dog and our other cat, and he was just causing fights all the time. And so I stopped and I sort of was like, okay, Mufasa's home, great. But what caused this? How can I prevent this in the future? And I kind of connected with him and I just got this general, like, I'm not happy right now. You know, I'm pissed at the dog, I'm pissed at the cat. I feel like you don't give me enough attention, and I totally wasn't. And so that was a great opportunity for me to step up and be a better pet parent. And so ever since, I've been super lovey with Mufasa, and even when I get angry at him for being angry at, well, I used to be angry at him for being angry at one of the other pets, but now instead what I do is I just give him love. It's like, okay, you're grumpy. It's okay to be grumpy, but here's some love instead of more grumpiness. And I think that he's become a way more lovey cat because of it. So if you're going through this right now, I'm so sorry. I totally know what it feels like. Just try to remember not to catastrophize. Try not to think of the absolute worst. Because not only does that it's not good for your mental health, it's not good law of attraction wise. You know, if you're constantly thinking about all the ways that this situation could go wrong, you know, the universe sends you more of what you're thinking, is what I like to think. So if you're constantly thinking about, if you're constantly visualizing that pet coming home, or you getting a phone call and someone being like, I found him, you know, sending those vibes to the universe of this is going to happen, this is going to happen, is sometimes the very least that you can do. If you're still struggling to find your pet, reach out to me. I do readings over the phone, in person, if you're in my area. I also do Skype. I'd love to help see if we can sort of find out where your pet is. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something out of this video and it wasn't just like all about my cat being gone. I really wanted to make it into something that if this ever happens to you, you might have some tools in your back pocket of how to handle it yourself. So let me know in the comments below, have you guys ever lost? Feel free to subscribe to my channel, you guys. I have a ton of videos on animal communication and how to work with your pets better. I'm also creating an animal communication course where you can learn how to communicate with your pets. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope I see you again. My name is Lauren, and remember, at the end of the day, always trust your gut.